Hello YouTube. So today we're going to be installing, or mostly just wiring, a Robertshaw thermostat. In this case it's a 10420t, I believe is the model number. It has Wi-Fi. I think it's the only one that has Wi-Fi for Robertshaw right now. And I haven't really seen any videos on almost any of the Robertshaw stuff. There's pretty much no videos, but they make very good thermostats. So I plan to do several videos. I think the first one here will do the wiring. Then I'll do another video on how to set up some of the settings in there on the thermostat. It's not in there, that's the old one. In here, I mean. And then I'll probably do a third video on like how to program it and do different schedules and stuff. One thing you should know is there's a fake battery compartment. There's another model that does use batteries, and I think they just use this display for two different models. You don't need to put batteries in here. It's not going to work. There's no metal battery terminals on the sides, just a piece of plastic. So you don't even need to take this cover off, but I ended up taking it off before I realized, hey, it's a fake compartment. There's no batteries to go in there. So I'm just going to put this cover back on here. So the old thermostat is a Honeywell 5000 series. When I go to pull it off the wall, it should have the exact model number on the back. I'll show that. But it only has a temperature swing of 0.1 degrees or 0.2 degrees, depending on how you look at it. So if it's set for 73 degrees, when it thinks it's 73.2, it turns on. Air conditioning is back off 73.0. Even though with my more accurate thermometers, it's really turning on at like 73.6 off at 73.4. So it's off by about half a degree also. This, if you find the temperature's off, you can calibrate it to actual room temperature. And you can adjust the temperature swing or temperature differential between cooling and separately for heating too. So I can actually adjust it a lot wider. So I can have it turn on at 73.5, come back down to 73.0. I can do an even bigger swing, like 74 to 73. You can do even more than that, but then it would be uncomfortable. You'd be hot and cold all the time. Anyways, let's start wiring this thing. Just the camera here. But that's why we're switching the thermostat. Give the air conditioner a longer run time by adjusting the temperature swing differential. And a longer run time will save money. So instead of running 5-10 minute cycles, make sure your breaker's disconnected. My breaker's already turned off, so the old one just pulls off. But like I was saying, so you want to make sure you're running at least 15-20 minute cycles in mild weather, and then when it's really hot or really cold, it should run a lot longer than that. It's a lot better for your compressor and your air conditioning unit. Makes it last longer and it uses a lot less power. There's a lot of startup power every time your unit's turned on. Okay, so let's go over some of these wires. Let's see, can I zoom in a little bit here? Okay, so this is for a heat pump wiring. I meant to mention that. If you don't have a heat pump, it's probably going to be different. So this video is going to be for a heat pump. So you have usually a little jumper wire, which there's a little jumper wire in there already. And then the new thermostat comes with a jumper also. So between RC and R, but R is sometimes also called RH. On the new thermostat, it's going to be called RH instead of R. So you can see I already labeled that red wire. So the red wire is usually R, RH. Makes sense, right? Yellow wire is usually Y. And if I remember correctly, that turns on your compressor for the first stage of cooling, and I believe the first stage of heating also. That's if you have more than one stage of compressor, then you're gonna have another wire too. But we just have a single stage compressor. Blue, and then is your common wire in this case. Some units will use a black wire for the common wire, but in our case it's blue. Now here You can have an orange wire, which will be O, or a blue wire, which will be B. It's mostly Riemann Rudd that use that blue wire, but most other brands use the orange wire. In this case, we have American Standard. American Standard and Train are the same. This is the reversing valve. It'll either reverse in air conditioning or reverse in heating, depending on what brand air conditioner you have. But yeah, that's for the reversing valve. Then we have the green wire is labeled as G, which turns on the fan blower motor for your indoor air handler, the indoor unit. And then you'd usually have an auxiliary wire, or sometimes it's also called W. And in our case, it was a white wire. I think on some units it might be a different color. You can see I have it taped off. That's because I don't want the emergency heat strips turning on. For example, if it gets like a little bit colder than what your thermostat is set at, because you turn the thermostat up a couple degrees, it'll turn on these auxiliary heat strips just to warm it up faster, which is unnecessary and wastes a lot of power. And really, your auxiliary heat strips, you don't need those to run with your air conditioner compressor unless it's below roughly 0 degrees outside. I mean, I've even had weather here where it's 13 degrees 3 nights in a row and didn't need that at all. And by keeping that off, you can save a lot of money on your electric bill, because those use about 3 times more electricity than the compressor and your heat pump outside. You do still need your heat strips to come on during defrost, but disconnecting this wire doesn't disable that. Your heat strips will still come on defrost, because that's controlled by the outdoor unit. If the compressor ever fails to stop working, as long as you have your emergency wire, the E one here, the black one in this case, I'm not sure if they're all black or not, this one is. If your compressor fails to work outside, you can still switch the thermostat into emergency heat mode and still turn the strips on until you get your compressor fixed or get a new unit. So even with this wire being disconnected, there is still a backup if everything fails. I don't have to take off the thermostat plate. I don't have to rewire it or anything. So yeah, keeping that wire off just saves electricity. But you can still wire it if you want to when we go to the new thermostat. So the wires are already labeled because Robertshaw, they were nice enough to give us all these labels that we can use. There's a lot of labels I didn't use because, like I said, it's just a single stage heat pump. But you can use extra labels if you have 2 or 3 stages of heating or cooling. It supports more stages and stuff. So in the owner's manual, they have some wiring diagrams in here. We're using the one for, it's labeled as 3 heat, 2 cool, or 2 heat, 1 cool heat pump. That's what we're looking at is a heat pump system here. And when you have the heat pump system, you're going to have the reversing valve. That's the O and B wire I was talking about. So for American Standard and Train, it's like I said, we're going to use the O terminal. On the old thermostat, you can connect an O or a B wire to the same terminal. But on here, we have 2 separate terminals on the new thermostat with Robertshaw. So because it's an orange wire, we're going to connect to the O terminal. We're not going to use the B terminal. You would only use the B terminal if you have Riemann Rudd, like I had mentioned before. Okay, and then everything else should be the same except for the R, the red wire. Like I said, on here it's called RH, and then it still has the jumper over to RC, so that still stays the same. All the other wires still stay the same. So you see, the only other thing I think is different is on here, the E terminal for emergency heat. They call it E/W. So I guess that is slightly different. On the old unit, they had called the auxiliary heat auxiliary or W. Oh no, they did call it a W too. Okay. So auxiliary heat is called W2, but I didn't know emergency heat can also be called W. Okay, interesting. But it's not too much different. What is very different though is the wires. The terminal blocks here are on the sides as opposed to the bottom. And instead of having a horizontal opening, we have a vertical opening. And you also have two mounting options, so you can do a horizontal mounting option, and they say you can also do a vertical mounting option, but I don't know why you would do that. So I don't know. I'm just going to use these two screw holes. They match up with the old ones, and I'll put a level on top, but I'm not sure if it's important to be level or not because it's a digital thermostat. There's the old ones, you really had to have level because they had mercury in them. I'm not sure how important it is with these, but I'll try to level it anyways. I'm sure it'll look better if it's level, if nothing else. So what we need here is a Phillips head screwdriver, and I just realized I actually need to disconnect these wires first, but whatever. I guess I'll just loosen this a little bit then, since I already have a screwdriver here. Alright, so I had almost forgotten. Gotta disconnect the wires first. I guess I was getting too eager, starting to get ahead of myself. So you need a very small flathead for these terminals. And of course, make sure your circuit breakers are off before you touch these so you don't get zapped. Failed to mention earlier too, I think that red wire is just like a 24-volt hot wire. And I think the common wire, is like a ground. Some thermostats let you run without a C wire if you have battery power, but this thermostat doesn't have battery power. Supposedly, if the power goes out, it'll still keep all the settings through Wi-Fi or something like that, so I don't know if it loses its settings when you don't have Wi-Fi. I'm not sure yet how that's all going to work. I guess I'll have to make a video later too about the Wi-Fi app and all that jazz. See, so these... Oh, did I forget that screw? I think I forgot the emergency wire here. There we go. Make sure they all pull out now, make sure they're all loose. Okay, so now let's take it off the wall. Yeah, I was really shocked at how little videos there are on YouTube about these Robertshaw thermostats. They're supposed to be the best thermostats out there, but they're not available at like Lowe's and Home Depot, so maybe that's why there's very little videos. So I figured I'd make some videos for people. The prices on these things are great too. Very cheap. They're in the range of like $30 to $80, and they have a lot of features that make them pretty much as good as some of the $200 thermostats out there in the market. Plus these come with like 5-6 year warranties, so they're made to last a long time. So I'm I'm pretty excited about this Robertshaw thermostat. From what I've read, they're supposed to be the best. Okay, so new plate and I think it comes with new screws, but I think I want to just use my same old screws because I already know they fit the drywall perfectly. Try to get these wires in here, turn it. Where'd the holes go? There's one hole. By the way, I should probably mention, I'm not an HVAC contractor or anything like that, although I did work with 2 different air conditioning companies for a couple weeks each, and I did go to college for air conditioning, so I do know a lot about it. But I'm really just a do-it-myself kind of person, likes to save money, and I like to try to show other people how to save money too. That's why I make these videos. So I'm just gonna get this most of the way screwed down and then put my level on it and fine tune it. Okay, these wires are pushing up on it, but that's okay. Let's get out the level, see where we're at here. Looks like it's good right there. Oops, it moved, didn't it? Whoa. Yeah, I think he's trying to move a lot. You want to be careful about putting these screws in tight too, because the manual says only 6 inch pounds. That's a very small amount of force, and that's probably because we're just going into the drywall here. Drywall is a very soft material, very delicate. Did that kind of move a little bit? There, now it's level again. At least it's getting more sturdy now. Yeah, now it's very sturdy and very level. Alright, so now we got it level. Got it screwed in. Now let's put all the wires into the terminals where they go. Flathead screwdriver. And we'll see if I can move all these wires around with my fingers or not, but I have a pair of needle nose pliers if we need to pull on some of these wires. Sometimes you can even pull your bunch of wires out of the wall a couple extra inches or so if you need to. So we'll see if we need to or not. See, what should I start with so I'm not working against myself? I don't know, should I start with the top right? The top right's going to be our red wire going to RH. And you can see on the old thermostat, there was like a metal jumper. It kind of looked like a miniature paper clip. It was just a little piece of metal going between the terminals and the old thermostat. This one, you can see they use a white excuse me, a white wire instead, but it does the same thing though. There we go, lefty loosey. Oh, wait a second. Oh, I just realized in here is actually a Phillips head, but it looks like my flathead's fitting it. So maybe you can use flat or Phillips. Interesting. There's a little bit less room to put this red wire in because the jumper wire is in the way. So I'm backing the screw all the way out. Let's see if this will fit in here or not now. I can't get my fingers to work. You know what? I guess I do need my needle nose pliers. Or maybe I should just pull all these wires out a little bit. You see how I'm able to pull them out of the wall a little bit? So. Oh, there we go. It just slipped right in there. Okay. What should I do next? Maybe I should do the green one next for the G terminal. Sorry. I'm not used to this new tripod and I keep running into it. So sorry if I make the camera bounce around a little bit. But I promise you this tripod is a lot better than me holding the camera. Okay, so next our green wire goes to the G jumper. That's for our fan control. And it looks like the screw is already backed out. Yeah, it is. So it just goes right in there. Oops. Tighten him down. Just double check up here too. Yeah, both of those are good. Okay, next. Y yellow. Okay, so we're not using a Y2. Y2, I believe, is if you have a two-stage compressor, then you'll be using that. So where do I want to go next? Start from the top left or the top bottom? What would be easier? I guess we could start with the top left. The blue wire is not B, because we already have an orange wire. You're not going to have two reversing wires. You only have one reversing wire. And for us, we're already using the orange one with Train and American Standard, like I said earlier. So in this case, our blue wire is common wire. But if you have a blue wire with a ream or a Rudd system, your common wire might be black or some other color. I mean, I would hope you didn't have two blue wires, because if you have two blue wires, that'd probably be confusing and you might wire it backwards. Okay, so, oh, it looks like my little man, what do you call that damn thing? My little sticker, my label. My label slipped down, blocking the wire. Let me do this. Use my needle nose pliers to hold here. And try to slip it back down. There we go. So now we're doing our O for orange reversing valve wire. This will reverse from heating to air conditioning or vice versa, depending on your air conditioner. Well, I should say depending on your heat pump, really. Because if you have an air conditioner that just air conditions only and doesn't heat, doesn't have a heat pump, well, then you're not going to have a reverse. So it'll be a little different. Okay. Now, you know what? I just realized something. Where the heck did my white wire go that was tucked away? I still want to make sure it's somewhere where I can see it or get to it. I might have smushed it between the wall plate. Damn it, I think I just moved the whole plate after I had leveled it. Man, I might have smushed it in there. Oh, well, let me go ahead and finish this. Okay, so this is our emergency heat wire in case everything fails, in case the compressor fails and we need some backup heat. But otherwise, I plan to never use emergency heat. It just uses too much electricity. Oh, sorry, I hit the stand again. All right, let's see. Can I get this wire out of here? Man, I really got it stuck in there, didn't I? Well, this stinks. I'm gonna have to loosen this up a little bit and re-level it. Man, I really got that thing stuck in there, didn't I guess I need my needle nose pliers. Let's see here. My goodness, there we go. Wow, I did not mean to have that smushed in there behind the plate, between the plate and the wall. So now I'll just tuck it in here somewhere. It's taped up still. The tape hasn't slipped off, so we're good. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, oh wow, look, my level won't even stay on the wall now. So that means that wire before was making the plate stick out more and making the level hold on. So now let's do this again. Looks like it's still good. Tighten down this side. That's probably why This plate kept moving around earlier when I was trying to get it level. This time it stayed level while I was tightening it down. Make sure. Yeah, they're good. We're still perfectly level. Okay, so now I can put the actual thermostat on. Should be good to go. Let me just double check. Let's double check our wires here. Oh, wait a second. Oh, this shows the red wire goes to RC, not RH. Yellow for the compressor goes to Y. I got that. Common wire to C. Emergency heat W. Fan to G. Auxiliary heat W2. Except we're skipping that one, right? The reversing valve to O. I might have the red wire backwards. Hold on a second. Where the heck's my old one? Oh, right there. Oh, yeah. Well, on my old one, it was wired to R, not RC. You know what I think? I think it doesn't freaking matter because there's a jumper wire there anyways. So, really, since there's a jumper wire there, you can wire it to RH or RC then. So, we're good then. I was about to start saying maybe I should call this video how not to wire it because I'm a freaking screw up, but maybe I shouldn't doubt myself so much. Maybe I should give myself more credit. Besides, it's not like anybody else is making videos on this. So, I guess this is the best we got for now. It's not flush. There we go. Let me back this up a little bit. Actually, I could just zoom out. Alright, I'm going to go turn the breakers on. Okay, it has power, but you know what I just realized? I just realized I should probably go through the settings first before I test it out, so I'll make another video about that.